Well, thank you very much. Hey, Billy, I'm going to drop it down a little bit. You're a little taller than I am. There we go. Got it. Well, thank you for being here. You know, in this weather, I thought it was going to be freezing cold. It's warm. It's warm out. Not really if you have to stand out in it. But anyway, I'm happy that you're here to see Doll Squad. It so happens that about, let's see, 26 years ago, we played Minneapolis with this picture. 26 years ago. And, of course, we had a problem because it was downpouring rain, a thunder, electrical storm that didn't quit. And the water, when it hit the ground or hit the pavement, would bounce up about 6 inches after the big drops hit and splash up. It was quite a sight to see. But unfortunately, a lot of people were not able to make it to the theater. And that was our world premiere. And I had brought Francine York, who you'll see in the movie pretty quick. I had brought her in for the premiere, the world premiere, because she was from Aurora, and I was born in St. Paul. And of course, we left St. Paul, my family did, when I was pretty young, but went on into Oregon, kind of grew up there, then made movies there, spent almost 30 years in Hollywood making films. And there's a few places on the website, such as tedvmichels.webjump.com. You can find a lot of my stuff if you're interested. But about Doll Squad, it was a fun thing to make. And when I look back now, some of the people that came in for parts, and I was at Columbia Picture Studios at the time, not financed by them, nobody financed me. They just rent you the space and you pay for everything. You pay for postage, you pay for screening rooms, you pay for everything. But the nice thing about that office was George C. Scott his door was about 6 feet away from my door, and Stanley Kramer was the next door this way from me, and Irwin Allen, who did Towering Inferno, was just a few feet this way, and then of course inside our rooms, one of the nicest offices I've ever had was at Columbia Pictures. But in any event, during the casting, I learned something that I try to keep in mind to this day. You don't jump too quickly to put in a cast, because of all the people that came, and I can't think of all their names, but Mary Martin from South Pacific, she was not wouldn't be one of the young, real gung-ho Doll Squad girls, but she would have liked a part. And Sissy Spacek came in and wanted a part. And of course, once you cast, you can't tell somebody, oh, well, there's somebody else that wants that part, so I'm going to give it to them. You can't once you make a commitment. Like when I did the Astro Zombies, James Caan sat in my office and said, you'll play in the movie for free. But the night before, I had given the part to another gentleman, and I couldn't go back on it. So Wayne Rogers, who brought James Caan in, said, Ted, this is James Caan. This other man, nobody knows him. I said, I know, Wayne. However, that night, I told him he had the part, and he went home and told his wife, and they had champagne, he had the part in the movie. I wouldn't go back on my word no matter what it meant, even to get James Caan for free. So anyway, we went all over to a lot of locations on Doll Squad. We went over Catalina Island. We shot in 29 Palms on the desert. We shot lots of places. And it was a tedious task. MGM wanted the picture when I finished it, but in order to get the last few dollars to make it, I had to take an advance from some of what we call sub-distributors around the country that would book the theater circuits, and they would go in and collect, if you had any rental coming, collect the money and send it to you. So anyway, I had already made a commitment in order to get the wrap-up money to finish this movie, and I couldn't give it to MGM, and it would have been a sweetheart deal for me because they would have financed me probably from that time on. But these are the breaks in life. It doesn't always work the way you'd like them to work. The breaks come to you in whatever way they come. Anyway, I can't think of anything else I can tell you right now, but I did finish this movie. It was 1972 we began filming, and I didn't finish until 73. I did all the editing, the sound effects, the music. Oh, one nice thing, we were nominated and made the top 10 for the Academy Award for the best music, the music score. And the Doll Squad theme, which you'll hear at the end of the film, almost made the top 5 in the Academy Award selection. So low budget or not, sometimes the films do make their mark. And Doll Squad has just lived on and on and on. We just made another arrangement. Now it's going to England in DVD, and it'll be out on Image Entertainment DVD probably by the end of summer. So unless there's a question, I say, oh, I didn't tell you about Corpse Grinders 2. We just finished that. And the lady back in the back there plays Felina from Sita. She has 8-inch long ears in the movie, and she comes from the planet by way of spaceship to come to Earth to look for food, because all the people on their planet of Sita are starving, and the neighboring planet are dog people, and they have dog faces. They don't have the big ears, but they got dog faces, and all their fighter pilots are shooting down the spaceships from Sita, and they're going to invade. So anyway, Shanti back there as Felina in Corpse Grinders 2, which hopefully we'll get it out here. It's all finished, but now I have to make an arrangement so that it goes distributed around the world in the best manner that we can do it, so we don't get ripped off and never get a dime again from any source. So we have to watch it so that it goes out very carefully. But it's a far-out thing, and look for it. And then, of course, since Doll Squad, my goodness sakes, we got so many films I can't even tell you. Blood Orgy of the She-Devils is a witchcraft movie. Alex Joseph is a legend type thing. 10 Violent Women is a female prison caper. Mission Kill Fast is martial arts action. Dimension and Fear is kind of a psychological psychoterror, they call it. So a lot of films since then. So it tickles me to come back 27 years later and show it again. And thank you again for coming. Any questions, anybody? Yes? Hang in and never give up. and also, the big thing that is so important and most aspiring filmmakers forget, they get so deeply involved in the technical things and trying to do technical tricks, and especially now with digital the way it is. And I have digital and Beta SP and 35 millimeter, and I have it all. But the biggest thing to remember is entertain people with a story. It doesn't matter how fancy you get with anything, but tell a story that people can understand and communicate with and feel it and enjoy it. And if you don't do that, if you don't come up with a story that the people will enjoy, then forget making the film, because you're going to eat it and show it to your friends. Or in reverse order, you show it to your friends and eat it. Anything else? Yes?
True, you were an assistant cameraman or director on Orgy of the Dead?
Well, I was training a cameraman. I've trained a lot of people, maybe 4,000 people in the film industry I've started. And I had been a cameraman since a kid, and so I had a reputation for being a director who's also a cinematographer. And I was training this cameraman, and he had just shot a film for me called The Black Klansman, and it was his first, but we lit it for him to get him some experience. And so when it came to shooting that film, they asked me if I would come and light it for them. And of course, I was busy doing a lot of things at that particular time. And I said, okay, Chris, well, a lot of fogs, a lot of special effects and lights and filters and so on. And I thought it would be fun, so I would light it. But I did it quietly. I thought no one would ever know that I actually engineered all the lighting and so on to get my protege, my student, his cameraman's card. And that's how that came about. But then, you know, who knew? Who knew anything about where films go? Whoever knew that 30 years later, Corpse Grinders would be playing here? 30 years ago I made it. So there's no way of knowing. Any other questions? Did I see a hand up?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
No, I was just going to say, I remember when Star Tribune, I think, wrote up a story on you making this.
Yes, Francine York came in with me.
And I've been waiting to see it since then.
That's about 26 years or something like that. That's a long time.
I'm kind of passive guy.
Well, kind of keep in mind that nearly 30 years ago, techniques were different. A lot of things were different. We didn't even have zoom lenses. We had to put things on dollies, crab dollies, and we had to do a lot of things that people take for granted now. So that long ago, making a film like this wasn't that easy. So keep in mind, almost 30 years ago, all these things. But when I did this, I'm in the mixing bay because I cut every sound effect. And fact is, I thought of giving a prize for someone who could guess how many times my voice replaces somebody's voice in there, because when you're the editor and you need somebody to say, open the door, or something like that, you just say it and cut it in the sound effects track and go on. So all the way through, you'll hear my voice. But in the mix, where you mix all the sounds together, There was no Jackie Chan, there was no Bruce Lee, nobody. Nobody knew how hard to make I was going to pop my hands, but a karate kick, how loud to make them. And I wanted them loud. And then the guys that are on the control, I'm saying, louder, louder. They said, we can't make it any louder. It's already too loud. I said, I don't care. Peak the needle. I want them loud. I never did get them as loud as I wanted because within a few years or so, Bruce Lee and all the guys came out and they got whack, whack, whack. And then, see, I should have had mine even louder yet. But anyway, enjoy the film and thank you again for coming.